And I am streaming. How's it going, everybody? I've got a couple different cameras and I'm still working out the setup on this, so you may have noticed I just clicked the wrong camera. How fun is that? Thank you for tuning in. Today I want to do like a wrap-up on being in Berkeley with Ben Shapiro, and then next week we've got Free Speech Week and we can talk about that, the expected protests. There's protests in St. Louis. If you're just tuning in, make sure you hit the thumbs up button because that does wonders for my channel and tells YouTube that I'm good, I think. Apparently it might not, I have no idea. You can also comment below. And there's the super chat feature, which if you give at least $5, your comment will appear above everyone else's, and then I can answer your questions. But I will be talking to people in the comment section as per usual, but also the super chats like donations to help me continue doing the work that I do. So these live streams happen periodically. And you can follow me on Twitter at Timcast and Instagram as well. Haven't really been using Instagram. But you know, aside from Free Speech Week, which we can get started on, there's some other stuff that I want to talk about, because I've been looking at these old rap news videos that, if you're not familiar with, it's Juice Rap News. They did these commentary videos for a while. They did a series, a lot of them in 2010, 2011, at the height of like Occupy Wall Street and the Arab Spring. And so there's a really interesting thing to talk about there. And now, let me pop over to YouTube to make sure everything is working. Let's see. It wants me to censor people. No, I'm not going to do that. And then I'm going to tweet this out. So I noticed another problem, and this is unfortunate. There's nothing I can do about it. But people are not getting notifications that my live stream has started, which is pretty bad for me, because if you don't know that I'm streaming, how can you watch? And now we have officially tweeted. All right, so now I will jump to the dashboard and let's take some questions and stuff like that. So, oh yeah, let me fix some of the... All right, we good. The Geth says, I miss police brutality. Well, I don't. Police brutality is a bad thing, but we just saw in St. Louis, there's been protests going on, and let me see if I can pull this up, because this video is kind of going viral, and it's, yeah, oh Jesus, this is bad. Here, let me pull up the display on this one. So, let's play this video. Watch this old lady right here. The cops push her, she falls down. These guys try to help her up, nope, bash, bash. And then someone throws something and they get pepper sprayed. And the woman is just curled up on the ground, and some of the cops pick her up and just push her out. Look at that, they just leave her there. I think this outraged basically everyone. Yeah, that certainly made people unhappy. So yeah, St. Louis is a whole lot of fun with the protests going on right now. I think the media is really trying to play this up like Ferguson 2.0, which it's not. There's a couple hundred protesters that are out there. I don't really see, you know, there's been some windows smashed. And people are asking me, like, are you going to fly out there and you're going to cover this? And I'm like, you know, maybe, but I just flew back from Berkeley, so I like didn't get sleep, and I'm pretty beat. So, yeah. But check this out. So actually, let's talk about this. Let's talk about rap news. I'm not gonna play the video, but I'm gonna show like a clip from it. So here, let me pull the display back up again. So this video is from December 18th, 2010. I tweeted about this earlier. And the reason I find it fascinating is that it's got 1.6 million views, and basically it mocks Hillary Clinton, you know, secretary, making fun of the, you know, look at all the corporate logos behind her. They praise, check this out, check out this line. This is fantastic. WikiLeaks, I'll just play it. Let me turn that down a little bit.
But people of the world seem to generally approve of WikiLeaks' actions in spreading the truth.
They do? Well, then they're
Okay, he just said, people generally approve of WikiLeaks' message in spreading the truth. And then Hillary Clinton calls them terrorists. This video, these are left-wing activists. Today, the Juice Media, they were putting out a bunch of stuff in support of Standing Rock and other things like that. But also, interestingly enough, they have a mock Alex Jones, right? And let me see if I can find it. This fake Alex Jones.
Aside 9/11, that's the secret vision. Right now, they're boyfriend Julie in a British prison. So,
let me see if I can find this. Because this mock Alex Jones, right? The joke is that back then, Alex Jones was warning about Nazi fascists.
Palace broke or evidence blows, but I've heard anecdotes. I'll show it this. This passage a triple H for the globalists. He blames openness, but he's actually a catalyst for the one world government of commie Nazi fascists.
Okay, so he says commie Nazi fascists, right? And the reason I find that really interesting is that you've got this video from 2010 where they're making fun of Alex Jones for screaming about the commie Nazi fascists. And today, who is called the Nazi fascist? Alex Jones. This video is anti-war, pro-WikiLeaks, pro-Julian Assange, anti-Hillary Clinton, and pro-free speech. At the very end, he says they're trying to turn back the clock on freedom of speech. And this was the left in 2010. It's mind-blowing. Seriously, that the left today is, I think it would be disingenuous to say that the far left is not anti-war. Of course they are, but they've been fairly silent on a lot of these issues. They've been so adamantly anti-Trump that we've seen a lot of the Trump supporters condemning the missile strike in Syria. This is a video saying we need to protect freedom of speech, condemning Hillary Clinton. Yes, the far left also does not like Hillary Clinton, so it's not like a, it's not a one-for-one, it's not black and white. But it's strange for me to see this video, which was very, very popular among the left 7 years ago, now saying things that people today probably would disagree with. It's baffling. I think, ultimately at the end when he says, protecting freedom of speech, and now we have the left saying, no, hate speech is not free speech. Got a super chat here that we will hit. True Unishred. Hey man, loved your Berkeley video, especially with the woman at the end. Did you have any other good interactions with protesters that didn't make the cut? I think we used, all of the interviews, but there was one that I didn't actually show, but I mentioned in the video. There was the dude wearing the Soviet mask. And there's a guy in Berkeley who was flying for communism. And I asked him about Antifa. Very similar to the line of questions I gave the first guy, the refused fascist guy. Is it oppression, and would you condemn someone who beats innocent people? And the answer was yes, absolutely. So I shook that guy's hand. I was like, wow. Like, look, man, I don't care if you're a communist, anarchist, socialist, whatever. If you're not going to be a hypocrite, if you're going to say, hey, we don't like violence, and that includes, we don't like oppression, that includes if Antifa does it, I'm like, oh, wow. Got another super chat here. WZRBS. Commie Nazi is also a Simpsons reference from a Rainer Wolfcastle movie. Yeah, communist Nazis. That was funny. And Navronassus wants to free Kekistan. Okay, and thank you for the super chat. So they've also, Juice Media has a bunch of other videos, but I was watching this because I think the song's really great. It's a good rap song. It's a good parody. Got a ton of views. And I was watching it. Somebody commented on my Ben Shapiro documentary video. Okay, if you guys haven't watched the doc I did on the Ben Shapiro event, take a half an hour and go do it. It was an absurd amount of work. I didn't sleep for like 2 days. I hired this really great shooter-producer, Jason Tongan. So I'm happy to see that it's slightly above average in views. Certainly not the most viewed documentary I've ever did. I'm also proud to say that the Inside the No-Go Zone 20-minute mini doc that I did that one day broke 1 million views. 1 million views. That makes me really happy. Actually, let's pull that up. Finally hit 1 million views, and I can talk a little bit about this and explain what it is. So let me switch over to the display. 1 million, yeah! This is my best produced documentary video. I have another video that's only about a 30-second clip where a guy gets whacked in the back of the head with a bag of rocks. That's got like 1.5 million or something, but I accidentally uploaded it to the wrong channel. So regardless, Stoked to see that this video has done so well. But back to this video from the Juice Media. People were commenting on... oh, I probably shouldn't. I probably can get in trouble for showing the dash, but I don't know how this works. So this video I put together, 30,000 views just the other day, and this is a half-an-hour little mini doc from the Ben Shapiro Berkeley event. And someone commented on this saying that I was an alt-right shill. They were like, oh, wow, look at Tim. He's become a shill for the alt-right. And which I don't understand, because I interviewed two far-left people who got to speak. You know, that one dude spoke for like 10 minutes or like 7 or 8 minutes. And I let him say his piece. But they're accusing me of being, you know, they're saying, oh, Tim, you've changed so much. And so I pulled up this video from Rap News where it talks, again, about anti-war, pro-WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, pro-free speech. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still for those things. Like, I didn't change. This far left is now anti-free speech. And you know what the comment I got? This is what blew my mind. Someone commented and said, yes, the left has learned. What's your excuse? That blew my mind. I was like, wow. I have been consistent on what I believe in. And so I tweeted this out. Let me see if I can find this tweet and just show you the tweet, which many of you may have seen. But, oh, come on. It's not letting me pull it up. But I will pull it up here, and then I got a couple super chats I will hit. All right, here we go. Anti-war, pro-free speech, pro-Assange. It isn't a Trump supporter video. It's a left-wing video from 7 years ago. That's what really blew my mind. That the Trump supporters are more in line with Occupy Wall Street activists than Occupy Wall Street activists are with themselves 7 years ago. That's crazy. The guest says, Tim, they don't view the people they beat as innocent. That's why they said no. They think people who say mean things are not innocent. Right, but even in the arguments I'm giving to the people about beating innocent people, I said, let's not even argue about people who are political. Let's say someone is just walking by, minding their own business, and they get beat. Is that their fault? And both people, the man and the woman, were like, I'm not going to blame Antifa for this. It's just mind-blowing. Peter Bland says, big fan, Tim, keep up the good work. Someone who makes an effort to be honest is rare in today's world. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Also for making sense of the media in layman's terms. Thank you, Peter. I try. I'm surprised many people think it works. That's great. I'm a little bummed out that YouTube's no longer notifying people of my live stream. So I should say this. If you're watching and you want to know when I'm going to go live, make sure you click the little bell button on my YouTube channel. I don't know if that matters or what, but I do know that for a while, a lot of people were getting notifications, and now they're not. And it has an impact on how many people are watching. It has an impact on Super Chat donations, and it has an impact on people who want to watch me. That kind of sucks. YouTube, fix your business. Bind the Giant says, you have said previously that free speech rallies should pull back, slow down. But wouldn't that concede the territory to Antifa and show them that they can win public space by intimidation? Well, in some circumstances, yes. But the reason I said that was sometimes to win the war, you have to retreat, right? So you might lose the battle, you might retreat from a certain battle, but it doesn't mean you give up the war. And I'm not saying, you know, personally, I believe in free speech. But I think a lot of the free speech rallies have been muddled up with, like, partisan politics. So the left is not viewing these free speech rallies as free speech rallies. They're making up crazy stories about Nazis and white supremacists. You had the Joey Gibson thing in the Patriot Prayer thing, which was a mix of races and identities and only one white person, but it was still a white supremacy rally. It makes no sense. Regardless, excuse me, I said pull back. They did, and it worked. Antifa showed up and beat some random people, and the press went ham about it, saying innocent people were beaten by Antifa. So pulling back was the right decision. You know, sometimes you have to retreat in order to, to win. So, yeah, you know, I tweeted this thing out, and I also included in here. I'll switch back to this right here. They even have the mock Alex Jones warning of Nazi fascists. Right? So the left viewed Alex Jones as a paranoid... Okay, I'm sorry. This is just so crazy. The left viewed Alex Jones as a paranoid conspiracy wingnut screaming that Nazi fascists are coming. And today, it's the far left screaming that the Nazi fascists are coming, and also believing that the Russians have influenced our elections and taken, you know, over and done all this crazy Facebook stuff. So I'm like, when did the far left become the conspiracy theorists? Isn't that weird? Got a super chat here from Reginald McIntosh. Thought experiments are hard for people who are so indoctrinated. It reminds me of the dogmatic religious people I grew up with. So let's talk about this woman. For those that did not watch the little Berkeley mini doc that I did, this woman said that by coming to Berkeley, you are inciting violence because you know by coming here and being conservative and saying these things, you're going to incite violence. It's an argument I hear a lot from people on the left. It is not a good argument. So I asked her a few questions. One, do you think that there are certain places you don't have a right to go because of your politics? And she said, it's not about rights, it's about having common sense and being smart enough to know that, you'll probably get attacked or you might incite violence if you come and speak. So I asked her, how, let's say someone is pro-immigration and they want to go to a conservative area to speak to, maybe convince people to support DACA or something. She said they shouldn't try to convince Republicans. She said, I'm not going to try and convince a Republican. Why would I do that? Which is mind-blowing. Because you're basically saying, are you only going to try and convince people who already agree with you? That doesn't make sense at all. So it goes on, and she mentions this woman. So there was a woman. Let me pull this story up. This woman had a concussion, I believe. She was pushed off a lamppost and hit her head. So let's see if I can. Here we go. NBC Bay Area. Woman injured at Berkeley protests. I don't know what this is. I haven't seen it before, so we'll just pull it up. But I know a woman was injured, and she said, all right, so there's a woman on the ground. Yes, and she's bleeding. There's a lot of blood. The police have surrounded her. She was holding up a sign that said something about pro-free speech. She was pushed off that sign and hit her head. A lot of people were tweeting that she was stabbed. I don't believe that's true, but we just have the raw footage here. And she's not the only person that was taken out by ambulance. So anyway, you've seen that. So this woman I interviewed, she said that that woman who got injured should have known better, because she's coming into this place and it's inciting violence. So my response to her was, you're saying it's the victim's fault, right? Because we hear a lot of the arguments about sexual assault that the woman should have known better, the woman shouldn't have worn this kind of clothing. And then she was like, no, I mean, in that instance, you're just being a person. It's not your fault that you were attacked. And in this instance, it's your politics. So I asked her, so are you saying that there are some circumstances where it is the victim's fault? And she froze. She froze for about 10, 15 seconds and says, let me think about that. And then just stands there for a good minute or so and then says, yes, I think it was her fault. I'll give you my thoughts on this, but first, let's hit these super chats. Kieran says, hey, Tim, love your work. Big fan. Did anything in Berkeley give you hope that the rising tensions between the far left and far right can be resolved? I'll come back to that. And Santiago says, that woman was a bit silly. Even though I think DACA is a terrible idea, I would still want to hear what the side who supports it has to say. So this woman said that she believed there are some circumstances where the victim is to blame. And honestly, I don't entirely disagree. I think, I don't think we ever want to blame a victim for being attacked by someone. You have a right to exist in this country without being attacked. But we also want to make sure that we recognize we do have some personal responsibility in how we carry ourselves, in recognizing that sometimes, you don't go swimming in a shark tank and then blame the sharks, right? So it's a complicated issue, and there's a threshold that is hard to find. But the reason I think this woman froze up is because, the far left is collectivist. And I don't think, she doesn't know what the right answer is or what would offend or get her in trouble. So I think she froze up and then had to think about what was safe to say. And to be completely honest, she walked up to my camera while I was filming some Trump supporter and started talking about it, and then I guess put herself in that jam. The Geth, by her logic, it's Heather Heyer's fault she got killed. She went to a white nationalist rally. Absolutely that. She flat out says, okay, seriously, take the time and watch this. It's entertaining, okay? I put a lot of work into this, but take the time and watch it, because the woman flat out says you shouldn't go to an opposing political rally where you know there will be violence. So Unite the Right was having a rally in Charlottesville, and these counter-protesters showed up. According to this woman's logic, Antifa and the far left should not have shown up because they would have incited violence. She blames the left. She is in this indirectly blaming Heather Heyer for being killed by that white nationalist. I cannot, like, that blew my mind when she told me this. I was like, you know, really, when you see this, it's an exemplification of tribalism. That she's so much like the left is right and the left should win, that the right should not have done this, and the right was at fault for killing Heather, and the right is at fault for coming here and getting hurt. Her logic doesn't work, okay? Heather Heyer is not at fault. She has a right to protest and counter-protest. The people in Charlottesville on either side did not have a right to bring weapons and fight each other, okay? But they do have a right to counter-protest, and I will not blame Heather Heyer for being attacked. This woman blaming the other woman who got attacked and knocked to the ground and got her head cracked open. That's just baffling to me. Got another super chat here. WZRBS, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Now I'll jump back to these other super chats. For Kieran, who said, did anything in Berkeley give you hope that the rising tensions between the far left and far right can be resolved? Well, we saw a very, very heavy police response. And that's, as much as I attribute that to why we didn't see a lot of violence. They banned masks, and the police were surrounding this protest on a lot of sides. I don't like seeing an expansion of governmental powers and an expansion of police powers. I don't like seeing people call for police militancy and an expansion of police forces. We want to be free to protest and do what we want. The problem is Antifa is escalating the tensions between the far left and the far right, and it's bad. It is not a good thing. So as much as we saw calm, and there was a sit-in, there were very few arrests, the protesters got to do what they wanted, Ben Shapiro got to speak, no buildings burnt to the ground, it was at the cost of an escalation of police force. It's not going to lead to a good place. Super chat here from Tara Tremwheat. You should put documentary in the title when it is one of your plus quality videos like the Shapiro one so that it will get more views. Also, go to Poland. Yeah, I think I'm down to go to Poland. That sounds fun. I think, yeah, I'm going to Spain. So I got Berkeley, then Catalonia because they're going to declare independence. But I think maybe after that I'll go to Poland, and because it's fascinating. People in Poland are huge Trump fans, and that would be a really interesting little thing I could do. It's kind of like, I think Poland would be a great idea. I gotta hire someone to come with me and do this, because Poland is kind of the opposite of Sweden. They're not letting anyone in. You're very much pro-Trump. Should be interesting. Reginald McIntosh says, the difference between the sharks and people can exhibit self-control. People who believe violence is a suitable form of pushing your agenda are incredibly misguided. Also love your work. Thank you, Reginald, for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Yeah, there's obviously a difference, right? You don't go swimming with sharks, but you expect humans to abide by the rules of society and not get violent because they disagree with you. Peter Bland again. All human beings feel a deep need to belong to a larger group. Everyone also wants to be a hero in their own story of their life. These two things explain Antifa and the far left. Politics is religion now. You guys ever watch South Park? They did that episode where Cartman goes to the future, and there's the three different factions, like the United Atheist League and then the Atheist Alliance, and they all are at war over the name of their atheist group. And the point they were making is that people are part of factions no matter what, and factions will replace and create the dogma. So religion, right? Religion's still very much a factor in war and conflict, but now we're seeing political dogma, where people on the far left refuse to condemn oppression. I'll flat out say it, okay? When I confronted that refuse fascism guy and asked him, if Antifa beats an innocent person, will you call that out? And he says he's not going to play that game. That is someone refusing to call out injustice and oppression. I will always call out injustice and oppression. And then furthermore, I think it's important to add, just because someone has power doesn't mean they are evil. And I think a lot of people on the far left view people in positions of power as pure evil, and they just hate them. They say things like, eat the rich. And this is exemplified by, if you watch Game of Thrones, when the Khaleesi, when, what's her face, I'm not a big enough fan to know this, she takes over the city that has slavery, and then she hangs all of the rich people, the rich free people. And some guy shows up and says, you hung my dad, but he was fighting slavery, right? So there's this assumption that simply because someone is well off or powerful, they must be evil. And then what ends up happening? The revolution happens, they go and purge and kill all the elites. Some of those people were fighting the good fight and trying to make things better, and you killed them anyway, so people are tribal. Got another super chat here. Roro Show. Keep up the good work, Tim. Love your content. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Daenerys. Yes, Daenerys is her name. Yeah, so here's what I tell people. Why will I oppose the use of violence for political agenda? It's very simple. A lot of these people claim that they're fighting in self-defense. Antifa says we're defending ourselves from violent fascism, and we have to use violence to suppress them. What do you think would happen if people who use violence come into power? While some argue that it's a means to an end, right? They'll use violence now so they can create a better world. We need to fight back against the system because they're violent towards us. And then once we defeat them, we can create the world we want. Okay, when does that world come to existence? The ends never justify the means because we never meet the ends. Even Donald Trump, President of the United States, is fighting to accomplish things he wants to do. There will never come a time where someone becomes a world leader and says, I did it, I'm done, and then put their feet up and say, I no longer need to use violence because I've accomplished what I need to accomplish. No, they'll come into power and say, great, now that I'm in power, I can start to do the things I want. Uh-oh, I still don't have what I want, so the ends justify the means. Now I'll go use violence and purge the people who are causing me problems. Yeah, the violence will never end. The Geth again. Politics certainly has the power to be a religion. Look to states like Nazi Germany and Soviet Union. The state is your god and other countries the devil. Or North Korea for that instance. They've got one news service and they believe it to be true always. It's kind of a bummer. I just watched the CNN special on North Korea and it's, man, there's cities, there's people, they got cell phones. It's a place, man. It's a modern place. And I look forward to the reunification of the Korea so that I can go and visit my ancestral homeland. My great-grandfather was from the North, but at the time he lived there, there was no North. It was just one Korea, so it's a bit unfortunate. Greg Phillips, Sargon has described Antifa perfectly. White supremacist with a guilt complex. Thanks for all of your hard work. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a great story. First, we'll hit this super chat. How does someone get started in cryptocurrency? I have tried looking it up, but it seems like if you ask 5 people, you get 6 different answers. I'll give you a really simple one. Go to coinbase.com, and you've got Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, and you can buy with your credit card. That's simple. From there, a lot of research, and it's really up to you, I suppose. So now I'm going to tell you all a story. I went to Standing Rock, okay? Native Americans were protesting the construction of a pipeline. Many people came and set up a camp and joined with them. I was at a pizza place, and there was someone sitting across the table from me. I said, I'd love to stay and hang out at Standing Rock longer, but I have a business meeting in Los Angeles that I have to get to. It's very important. And this person says, what do you mean you have a business meeting in LA? And I said, well, 2 days from now at 8 in the morning, I've got to meet people in Los Angeles. And he goes, dude, no, that's colonial thinking, man. That's colonial thinking. So I asked him, what does that mean? What's colonial thinking? And he goes, dude, the white European colonials created this system of time and meetings and days, man. The Native Americans don't have any of this, right? That's colonization. That's what you're working on. You need to free yourself from this and just like come hang here with the Native Americans who are more connected and better understand this. And I said, wait, hold on. The colonists didn't create the concept of time and meetings and scheduling. Like that's been around forever. Like humans wake up in the morning and then, go to the farm. And he goes, right. But what I'm saying is like white people have, influenced the rest of the world. And he's saying things like that. And I said, right, sure, but East Asian cultures have been developed for much longer than the white Europeans, and they certainly influence the world too. I'm like, even today, China is doing tons of oil exploration in Africa and South America. And then he says to me, yes, but you have to admit, Asian culture has been dominated by white culture. And then I was like, whoa, hold on, dude. I was like, I am not going to sit here and listen to a white supremacist who believes that white people have influenced the entire planet, that all culture and all ideas are stemming from the white race and all that. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you white supremacist, telling me, a mixed race person, part Asian, that my culture is only a subset of your culture. And his face went like red. Like, whoa, hold on. Yes, because he just told me, and I've heard this so many times from people who are aligned with the far left, that white supremacy controls the planet. And that's white supremacy. That is a belief in white supremacy. if so I say this. There's two kinds of white supremacy. There's a group of people who believe that white people are the best culture and should be supreme. And there's a group of people who believe that white people are supreme and control everything. The left believes that white people control everything for some reason, and that needs to be toppled. They genuinely believe that there is a supreme race controlling the world, and it's white people. And the far right, whatever you want to call them, KKK or whatever, white nationalists, Nazis, white supremacists believe that white people should be in charge. And then to a lesser extent, there's the white nationalists who think white people deserve their own, ethno-state or things like that. To me, that's a type of white supremacy. There's a group that already believes white people are in power, and a group that believes white people should be in power. I don't really see a difference. I see two groups of people that are like, are or should be, and I'm like, you both are crazy. White people don't rule the planet. Asia, like China is doing great strides in being a dominating force in this world, and India is a massive country with nuclear weapons and space travel too. Like, this really blows my mind. So then I started thinking about this concept of the global white supremacy, the white patriarchy and things like that. And so I asked a simple question. Okay, to the people who believe that white people rule the planet and all that, are supreme, how did that happen, right? Why do you think this came to be? Well, some people have told me that, I knew this guy in Chicago who said white people are liars and cheaters and they steal. That's why he was Latino. And my response to that was, okay, you think all white people are liars and cheaters and that's what they do and that's what they always have done and will do. Yes. The reason that white people are in charge is because they will steal and they will use empire and weapons, and that needs to be toppled. Okay, if that is intrinsic to white people, why would it stop? If non-whites displace whites in this, white patriarchy, whatever you want to call it, why wouldn't the white people just continue to use lies and deceit to regain power and control? So this argument doesn't necessarily make sense. Furthermore, I think the more important argument to be made is that when people say that white people rule the planet or things like that, that's just like... I'll back up. I made a video where I talked about this after Charlottesville. Take any political faction and you can pull out the name of their boogeyman and replace it with anything else. So Occupy Wall Street says, the 1%, they control all the banks, right? The media is controlled by the 1%. Every single war has been orchestrated by these wealthy elites in the 1%. We need to eat the rich and topple them because they are evil and they're holding us back. They have privilege. Rich people with their capital gains making money off nothing. Wow, the 1%. Well, stop. Let's take 1% and change it to white people. White people are controlling the banks. White people are controlling the media. White people are starting all the wars. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Let's talk about feminism. Let's replace white people with patriarchy. Patriarchy starts all the wars. Patriarchy controls the industry and the media. You see where I'm going with this? Take any one of these groups, and you can replace one of these words with any other word, and bam. You've found... So figure out which one of these boogeymen you don't like. You don't like the media, or you don't like the 1%. You don't like white people. You don't like men. You don't like insert specific race. You want to be a Nazi and you don't like the Jews. There you go. Drop that noun into any one of these sentences. It's like ad libs, and you found which political faction, which tribe you should join. But the reality is, it's all just like, to me, it's all just I don't necessarily want to say like SJW, but you're singling out a group based on their identity, blaming them for all your problems, when the reality is people are people. It doesn't matter what your race, gender identity, whatever is. Put a person in power and they'll do basically the same thing. They'll fight for more power. All right, got a super chat here from Peter Bland again. The West is a concept, an idea of government. Japan is considered Western by much of Asia. Korea too. Americans see Asians, perspective counts. Yes. So, I guess looping this back into Free Speech Week is coming up in Berkeley. And I think, to talk a bit about the Ben Shapiro event, why were people mad about Ben Shapiro? Well, if you check out the video, I did a phone call with Ben, and he said it's not even about him. It's, it's Antifa is going to protest whatever. He's anyone to the right of Mao is, they'll protest. And I think that's true. I think it's tribalism. With Milo coming to Berkeley, though, you have Steve Bannon showing up. This is going to be really fascinating if Bannon actually shows up. I'm really surprised. Rebel Riot, got another super chat. Great coverage at Berkeley, especially your patience talking to some of these people. You've earned this. Thank you so much for the super chat. I love doing these live streams and I want to do more, but one of the problems I've noticed is that, I mentioned this earlier, YouTube is not sending notifications to people that I'm live. So I've got 136,000 subscribers, and only 1,000 or so will actually get a notification, which is a huge bummer. Yeah, but I appreciate the people who get the feed, who come and join, and the super chats. This is like a good fundraiser for me. Cogent Lich. The financial tolls for security at free speech rallies because of Antifa makes you realize freedom of speech really isn't free anymore. I think Ben Shapiro said that. He said freedom of speech isn't free, it costs $600,000. Let me make something perfectly clear. Berkeley said they can't guarantee the safety of students and speakers. They're not talking about the right, they're talking about Antifa. This needs to be stressed. When Berkeley says it is too dangerous, they are talking about violent Antifa, okay? They are not talking about right-wing ideas. They are not talking about right-wing Nazis coming and running cars on people. Berkeley is saying they can't guarantee safety because Antifa is violent and smashing windows and starting fires. And I will add to this, simply by calling out Antifa as violent, obviously not every single person who aligns as an anti-fascist is a violent extremist, but they have many of them in their faction, whatever you want to call it. It does not excuse what happened in Charlottesville. It does not excuse these church shootings or these mosque shootings. I can call out Antifa and far right-wing extremists who are shooting up churches. I can be mad at more than one group of people. And simply because I will call out Antifa does not mean in any way I'm excusing these people who are doing horrific things. If you are a violent extremist of any political faction or any tribe, I'm going to call you out. If you're a police officer who breaks your oath to protect the community, and you kill somebody without cause or in a fit of rage, I will call you out. Where I grew up, a drunk cop ran over 2 kids. And did he get in trouble? No. He got paid leave and then got reinstated later. That is total bullcrap. Plain and simple. It is beyond bullcrap. It is injustice of the highest order. You can't get drunk and kill people and get away with it. No one is excused from accountability. So I'm sick and tired of seeing people of their tribes excuse this. The police say, oh, well, you know, cut him some slack. He's an officer. It's a tough job. He was drinking. No. Bull crap. We should hold police to a higher standard. And I've encountered many great cops, and I've encountered many, many bad cops, and I've dealt with a ton of BS in the legal system, and I don't care what your faction is, okay? You can support a group, you can support Antifa, but you can, let's say you support Antifa, you can still decry the violent extremists within that group, okay? So forever, how many people are aligned with Antifa who don't believe in beating innocent people? You need to start calling out and weeding out the violent extremists. Same goes for everybody. Got another super chat here from Reginald McIntosh. Yeah, this is the first live stream I've caught. Hopefully YouTube can fix their... I don't want to swear. I'm trying not to swear because I'm trying to avoid demonetization as much as possible. Z Smith, looking forward to your Free Speech Week coverage. The Ben Shapiro video was fantastic. Be safe out there. I'm so proud of that Ben Shapiro video. Okay, Jason Tongan is this dude. He's based in, in the Bay Area. And we did another video called Fallout from Fukushima. This was a couple years ago, and Jason is a whiz. He's seriously one of the best shooters I've ever worked with, and he's got a super lightweight rig, really fantastic stuff. Let me show you just a quick clip of this other video that we did together. So this is a mini doc that Jason and I put together, and it's just great. It's just rad. And Jason's done some editing for me in the past. So I said, look, man, we don't know what's going to happen. Berkeley could go crazy. Antifa might show up and trash the place. So I need somebody who can come in and get the job done and can hold their own. And Jason was that guy. Hopefully we can pull off something similar. I think what I'm aiming for is some kind of mini doc similar to this, right? This one's only 8 minutes long. The Ben Shapiro one that I put together was half an hour. I will also add that Jason was for Fallout from Fukushima, Jason shot and edited, and he got some people to do some fantastic graphics. For the Ben Shapiro video, Jason was the shooter. I did all of the editing. Everything beyond shooting was me. And in fact, some of the shooting was me. The gimbal shots were all me. But Jason has this great eye. He's got great production skills, so he was, cueing me to speak up and describe specific things that the edit would work. I'm hopefully going to do something similar to the half-an-hour video I did on the Bench Hero event with Steve Bannon's day. So that's the 27th when Bannon is set to speak. The main challenge with doing work like this is that hiring someone as awesome as Jason is expensive. So it's definitely a lose money situation, but I feel like this video is just, it's good quality stuff, and I like to make sure that I can put out something of quality. There's also the alternative of hiring someone super young for a lot cheaper, because Jason's like a little bit older than me, and he's super pro and expensive. So I could feasibly pull that quality out with someone much cheaper, but you know, you get a guarantee when you hire someone as awesome as Jason. So we'll see what happens. Free Speech Week is going to start on the 24th. Excuse me, I'll probably be in Berkeley a few days before that. And then after that, I'm going to Spain. Michael Harris, Super Chat, appreciate your documentary work and the way you call out the BS on both extremes. I hope you come back to Berkeley if Bannon comes. Would like to see more interviews like you did there. That is the whole plan. So I don't know if Jason will be available, but I've got a couple other shooters in SF. Normally, a lot of the videos I do will be either quick vloggy, right? So not a whole lot of interviews. The Sweden stuff was very heavy on the interview stuff, and that's hard to produce. It's expensive, takes a lot of time, but that's the goal for Free Speech Week. So you know what I might try to do? I think I'm going to try to do this. I think I'm going to try and hire somebody for the whole week, and we're going to put out a video like that every single day. So that means I probably won't sleep for 4 days. Not even exaggerating. That Ben Shapiro video, we went out early, we started shooting, we got back around 2 or 3 when the event was over, and then I started editing right away, transferring footage, and I got to bed, I'm sorry, I didn't go to bed at all. It was around 6 or 7 a.m. when it finally finished rendering. It's a 4K video, so it's a high render time. And then I uploaded it, did a bunch of the SEO stuff I had to do, and then packed my bags and got on a plane. And for whatever reason, I couldn't sleep on the plane, made it back to New York, and then finally got sleep after 2 days. So, heckin' good fun, the Geth. Do you think the right is too easy on police in Berkeley? They say it's the boss's fault for ordering stand-downs. I call BS. That excuse works when you're an office worker, not when you're a critical service. I don't know, man. I think too often the right has excused too much police brutality. I've never understood this. The left claims to hate police brutality. They criticize the police for their actions, but at the same time, they call for bigger government. They're pro-taxes, they're pro-government programs. With that comes police authority, okay? There's the libertarians make the argument that socialism can exist voluntarily within libertarianism, but it doesn't, because you need the government to enforce socialism. So a lot of these people on the far left, they're actually advocating for the government to mandate people adhere to these programs. That means more police. And the right, which tends to call for smaller government, cheers when the militarized police go out and beat protesters. I'm sorry, I know it's not everybody on either side. There's a lot of people on the left who get it and say, bigger government can lead to problems. And a lot of people on the right say we still don't want to justify police brutality. But I wish people would be more willing to remove themselves from the tribalism and just say flat out, look, you can support law enforcement and criticize bad cops. It will make your side stronger. You can support, you can oppose fascism. You can be an anti-fascist and call out violent Antifa extremists and make your cause stronger. And that's what I want to see. And I've seen some people do it on the far left. Actually, during the Berkeley event, someone said, look around you. This is what Antifa is. It's people gathering and speaking. And they flat out were saying that they do not want to see anyone initiate violence. Absolutely. By all means. This is the problem. Everyone blankets Antifa. They say Antifa is bad because people within Antifa wear masks, put on, black masks and hoods and go and bash people. But there are a lot of people who call themselves Antifa who don't do that. Unfortunately, you get overshadowed by the violent extremists. Unfortunately, good cops get overshadowed by the crazy nut jobs that go around hurting people. There's a video where a cop pulls a dude over and then says, let me see your license. The guy says, okay. And then when the guy reaches into a car, the cop shoots him. Okay, so look, man. There's a lot of bad people, there's a lot of stupid people, and they should be called out. Plain and simple. True Unishred says, when is the Timcast ASMR channel coming? Never. It won't exist. Let me ask you guys something. I tried recording a podcast earlier, but there's a lot of tech stuff that I have to get worked out. I wonder if there's something I can do with this live stream that would function well as a podcast. Just make it a whole lot easier. And then I could do 1 or 2 per week. I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to pop into the regular comments because I've been inundated with super chats, so I want to make sure some of the people who are in the regular chat. Someone says this is witchcraft. I don't know what you mean. Your shirt is changing colors. Is it? How? I haven't noticed. Is it changing? Oh yeah, it is changing colors. Yep, it's magic. Yep. You can't paint all with the same brush. Absolutely. Chaos theory. Nope, I'm not going to read that. What is it? You know, people are posting things that I can't read. Unfortunately, you can type them. I don't know what the rules are on typing. I will encourage people not to violate the terms of service, but I can't say certain things. Randy Ireland, what are your thoughts about Mother of All Rally and BLM meeting in DC yesterday? Great job with Berkeley. As one from the center right, you are 1000% accurate. Why can't right and left unite around the basic understanding against extremism? That'd be really cool. Let's hit this Mother of All Rallies. I didn't even know the Mother of All Rallies was taking place. We see these videos where they're mocking the Mother of All Rallies for having this massive venue space and less than 1,000 people show up. I mean, it's kind of baffling to me that less than 1,000 people is considered a bad thing. That's a decently good rally, especially if we're trying to get people to show up in DC. The left has pulled a bunch of, like Occupy everywhere. Occupy DC was supposed to bring a bunch of people together, and like 1,000 people showed up. So I don't know why that's a bad thing. The other thing they do is they say that the Trump supporters couldn't get more than the Juggalos, the Insane Clown Posse fans. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Musicians always bring bigger crowds than politics. And the Insane Clown Posse didn't even bring that big of a crowd. They had a few thousand people, and they were protesting that the FBI called them a gang. I'm sure if, like, Paramore said they were going to be in D.C., you'd have, like, 10 or 20,000 people. In fact, during Occupy Wall Street, someone made up a fake rumor that I think Radiohead was going to play Zuccotti, and 10, 20,000 people showed up. And then what did they do? They held a general assembly and just manipulated people. Such dirty stuff. But the point is, people show up for music because they like music. Many, many more people. Like, if I put on a rally, I put an event saying that I was going to get, like, a famous celebrity to show up, yeah, of course I'd sell out. And then if I said I was going to have some random politician, nobody would show up. Nobody knows who these politicians are. Politicians aren't celebrities. Some of them are. So I just think the whole thing's stupid. I didn't even know the Mother of All Rallies was happening. But don't get me wrong, I can absolutely criticize the Mother of All Rallies for failing to do PR to the point where I even knew about it, and they could have encouraged people to actually show up. So, no. But now let's talk about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter came on the stage at the Mother of All Rallies, took the mic, and started speaking, and they let them do it. And I saw a video, I didn't see the speeches, but I saw them clapping and cheering for, Black Lives Matter. It's not the first time I've seen free speech events give the mic to the opposition. I'm glad to see that something like that can happen. Peaceful exchange and people come and talk and no violence breaks out. That's what it should be. By all means, you know what we need? We need a real free speech rally that invites the left and the right, and an argument ensues. Seriously, that plain and simple. No violence, nobody hit each other. Get someone from Black Lives Matter, get an anti-fascist, get a Trump supporter, up on stage, and they can all say their piece, and then people can boo or clap. That's the point. I would love to see, a Trump rally mixed with a Black Lives Matter rally where people could have a debate about the issues. And the reason for it is I think people would come to an understanding. When the Black Lives Matter supporters and the activists, guess what? They're not wrong. Their core issues are security, like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if they feel like people aren't getting that, they protest. So there's a lot of things that are wrong. There's a lot of bad apples. There's a lot of pitfalls to a lot of these groups. But at the core, the idea of people wanting police accountability, especially because the black community feels victimized, yeah, right on, for sure. Does it mean they're 100% correct all the time? No. I think a lot of what they say is true. I think a lot of what they say is maybe exaggerated. Everyone does it. But I don't see why there has to be violence or opposition between them and, say, Blue Lives Matter. Blue Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter, you know what I mean? They both mean two different things. And I think in the instance of Blue Lives Matter, I've met good cops. Certainly. I've done things illegal. Like I was speeding once and a cop pulled me over and he gave me the angry dad look and I felt so bad and he was like, listen, I'm going to give you a warning. And I was like, I really appreciate that, cop. I haven't speeded. I've no longer have been rambunctious. And I think that was the right move. There's a lot of bad cops, right? Who get scared or who are angry, who are racist. And they should be called out. But it doesn't mean we disregard the good cops. It doesn't mean all cops are bastards. We see a problem with militarized police, We see these police trampling this older lady. Like I'll pull this up again. Let me see if I can pull this up again. Uh-oh. Nope, that was a bad idea. Where did that thing go? Oh, yeah, okay, I got it right here. When these guys trampled this old lady, okay, these are not good cops. No, they're militarized, they're hyper-focused. I understand they're concerned about the threat from protesters. But, you know, look at this old lady right here, all right? Come on, man. You don't shove an old lady with your shield. Sorry, you just don't do it. I don't care if it's the heat of the moment. We need to figure out how to get beyond this kind of stuff. I have seen instances with you know, riot control police. They open the ranks and they pull the old lady in. They don't shove her to the ground. So shame on this guy who did that. And these guys are trying to help her. Let them do it. I don't understand that. We can call them out. We can be upset about that and still say not all cops are bad. What happens is you get people on the far left, they see that, and then they say, see, all cops are bad. No, those cops are bad, certainly. You know, they didn't care about that woman. They're hyper-focused. I don't appreciate that. But I know people who are cops, and they got a crappy job, for sure. And cops get killed sometimes. It's bad news. So we need to figure out how to be more compassionate. This has been the biggest mind-blowing thing to me is people on the far left say like, oh, the far right's not compassionate and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, you can't sit here and accuse someone else of not being compassionate when you're insulting them, okay? We talk about compassion. I try to have compassion for everybody. I try to understand everybody to find out where they're coming from and why they feel like they have a problem. Then we can solve that problem. So when I meet a conservative person who says, I feel bad about this issue, I say, yeah, let me hear it. Let me better understand why you're upset. And I go, wow, that's really interesting. I understand why they're upset. Doesn't mean they're right, but I can see where they're coming from. It's a relativity issue. I go to people on the left. You're upset. Tell me why, right? I totally understand your perspective. Okay, how can we bring people together and solve this problem? That's what I want to do. But people on the left are like, oh, the people on the right have no compassion for anyone. No. You have no compassion for them, right? So don't accuse other people of not having compassion. It's kind of like when people say open-minded. People accuse you, they say, you're closed-minded. It's like, dude, you calling someone else closed-minded doesn't make sense because it could also mean you're closed-minded too. Like people are having an argument about, say, religion, and they say, but you're being closed-minded. No, you're being closed-minded. Yeah, everyone can accuse everybody of lacking compassion or being closed-minded. It makes no sense. Got a super chat here from Bang's Nutty Bits. I'm the moderator of r/podcasting. Would be very happy to help you in any way that I can expedite your platform. Yeah, if you want to shoot me an email, tim@tagg.ly. We're testing out some equipment. I got this here microphone and some other microphone stuff. And we did this recording, and I screwed up the audio, and it was just a crazy echo. We did a test. It worked. We recorded. It didn't work, and now I just wasted an hour. And it was a really interesting conversation, very similar to what we're talking about now because I'm in the same state of mind. But we're trying to get it sorted, and then the goal is to do, it would be for Subverse. So I don't know where we're at with Subverse yet. It's been under construction for a long time because we've been trying to get things sorted. But it's still down. We have a functioning site for subverse.net, so stay tuned. And the podcast will be for that, and we'll talk politics and news, and it's like a centrist kind of deal. Lauren, who's doing the podcast with me, is more right-wing, but it's a very moderate and balanced, like, it's a rational take on politics, not hyperbolic or exaggerated or far left or far right. It's kind of just like, I don't know what you can call it, undeclared politics. I don't care for the left or the right, the up, the down, the back, the front, whatever. All I care about is consistency and efficiency. All right. Someone says, don't smoke weed when you record. That's right. Stoned Tim Pool. I don't know if that's actually Stoned Tim Pool, but that's somebody. But for those that don't know, I don't do any drugs, and I don't drink. I drink water. I don't even drink soda. I might drink soda sometimes. Tim, do a kickflip. Yes. Tomorrow I'll probably go skateboarding. I think, what's the video I was going to... Oh, yeah, tomorrow I think I'm doing a video about the juggalos and kind of what I was complaining about earlier. You know, everyone's criticizing the mother of all rallies and stuff and Black Lives Matter, but I think that might be a subject of conversation. We'll see what happens. True Unit Shred. Do you think the militarization of police has contributed to this, turning them from local neighborhood police officers into faceless armored others? Yes and no. I think the issue is scale. Let's think about a small town with a couple hundred people. There's one sheriff and a couple deputies. Well, guess what? Everybody knows the sheriff. and the sheriff knows most of the people in town. It's a small town. So let's say you're speeding. Sheriff walks up to your car and he goes, Tim, what am I going to tell your dad tonight at the bar? Am I going to tell him you were speeding? And you're like, oh, shucks, sorry, Sheriff Johnson. And he's like, all right, you speed again, I'm telling your dad. And you're like, oh, I won't speed, I promise. My dad took my car away. It's much more personable when the communities are smaller. Human societies scale up to the point where we don't know each other and we don't care. You know, these cops are like, I don't know you, I don't care about you, I got to keep myself safe, I got to feed my family. And that means I'm going to trample an old lady. That's what they did. They knocked an old lady down. Okay? I got pulled over once. I wasn't speeding. Okay? I was on Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. I was going about 35 miles an hour. It's a 45 mile per hour zone because I was exiting off Belmont. I get pulled over. The cop walks up to me and says, you know, your license, registration, all that stuff, your license and insurance. And then he's like, why were you speeding? Sorry, officer, I wasn't speeding. And he goes, yeah, you were going 60. No, officer, I'm exiting right now. I'm on the exit ramp. I was slowing down to get off. There's a red light. And he goes, yeah, tell it to a judge. And then he hands me a ticket and says, sign here. And throws a ticket at me. He didn't know me. He didn't care. He's got a quota. So he'll lie. What am I going to do about it? Nothing. The only thing I can do about it is take off work, go to court, or just pay the fine, plead, you know. And in Illinois, if you're under the age of 21 and you get 2 moving violations, they suspend your license. So that just basically took away my ability to drive because some cop was a dick. It happens. Hey, that's cultural appropriation talking like a Southerner. No, it's not. My dad's from Texas. I could talk like my dad. I actually, whenever I walk in a store, I always say howdy. I say howdy for everything. Why? Because my dad would always say howdy. We would go to a restaurant, we'd sit down, and the waitress would come and be like, howdy. That's a Texas thing. And so, you know what? I'm like my dad. I say it too. I like saying howdy. I think it's fun. Cops get trained to quick draw and shoot because crooks to that. It's like an old Western. I don't think that's true. I don't think cops get very good training. Let me pull up this story here. Is this it? No. Yep. Here we go. Get ready for this. 9 shooting bystander victims hit by police gunfire. So what happened? Well, veteran patrolman opened fire on a suit-wearing gunman. He pointed a .45 caliber pistol as they approached him. Officer shot 7 times. Another officer fired 9 times. Neither had ever fired their weapons before on a patrol. The volley of gunfire felled Johnson in a few seconds and left 9 other people bleeding on the sidewalk. You guys ever watch Fight Club? In Fight Club, the main character talks about the formula. He works on whether or not cars should be recalled. He said if the cost of lawsuits is less than the cost of a recall, they don't recall. Cheaper to just pay the lawsuits than deal with pulling all the cars in. I was told by someone to apply that formula to police. They could train police. Very, very, very expensive training to make sure every single cop in New York knows how to fire their gun with precision and accuracy. Or they could just pay out the lawsuits because the lawsuits are cheaper than training every cop and giving them routine upkeep on how to shoot. Certainly the police in New York are trained to shoot, but it's an argument over whether the training is sufficient. In this instance, as it says in the news story, the police never fired their weapons on patrol before. Maybe that's something you can't train for, the heat of the moment, but I certainly think to an extent you can. And it's interesting because one of the arguments is that the NYPD is not going to pay for extensive training because it's cheaper just to pay out lawsuits. We're getting close to that hour and the stream will be ending soon, so let's hit up some last few comments and questions. And while you guys are loading those up, shoot me the super chat if you want your comment to appear above anyone else. Make sure you go to timcast.com/donate. Give whatever you'd like. I've got different cryptocurrency options. You can give through PayPal. I know a lot of people don't like it, but my Patreon is still active because there's a decent amount of people that still like using Patreon above all else. So I don't want to tell them they can't use it, but there's a political issue. I understand that. Gary Johnson, what is Timcast? Real news, great journalism. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, the name Timcast came from my Twitter account. It was like broadcast, but Tim, and is something stupid I made up at the last minute, but I guess that's the name of the channel now. I got my silver play button. You can actually see it's right there. And it says Timcasts with an S, because my YouTube username is actually Timcasts with an S. Yeah, it sucks. Snapchat's the same thing. Why? Because there was some dude who created an account called Timcast and then didn't really use it, and YouTube wouldn't give it to me, but YouTube did give me the vanity URL, youtube.com/Timcast. So there you go. It works out. All right, so let's talk about some plans real quick before we start wrapping up. I think Poland is a really, really good idea. Really, really good idea. That was a great idea. I can't remember who super chatted me that, but Poland is a great idea. I think after Spain, I might do an inverse to Sweden, right? Sweden was how is migration affecting their country, and now I think we should look at Poland, and they are very anti-refugee, I believe. They're very, very pro-Trump. So I think it would be really interesting to go to Poland and figure that out. Maybe I can get Luke to come on board, because Luke's Polish. He's from Poland. He speaks Polish. That would be really fantastic and easy. And that would be a really cool, maybe like 5 video series where we meet people in Poland and talk about the issue of migration and refugees, considering, I think, France, Macron is complaining to them, saying, you better bring in refugees and all that stuff. It'd be really, really interesting. Really interesting. I think what I'm going to start focusing on right now is finding a shooter for, I shouldn't use that word, finding a filmer for Berkeley so we can do this series of daily videos. Imagine the Ben Shapiro video I did, but every single day. Kind of a big challenge, but I think we can pull it off. So, that being said, I think it's about time to wrap things up. So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I think I've got, I'm gonna hit some random images. Boom, there we go. Timcast.com/donate. So I'm using Open Broadcaster, and there's a bunch of different visual sources, and I didn't name them. I should probably name them. Maybe I'll name them so I know what I'm clicking. But it says like image 1, image 2, video capture 1. I could do a better job. But anyway, hey, thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for the super chats. This is fantastic. So I'll put it this way. Ad revenue is not doing so well on YouTube. One of the reasons I want to kick up the live streams is that super chat is substantially more revenue for me than ad revenue is, especially with being demonetized. Most of my older videos demonetized. My newer videos hit and miss. More demonetization than there was in the past, but it's not always so bad. And some of the videos do really, really well. But super chat, like this super chat was absolutely fantastic. You guys rock. I think 366 in super chat so far. So it's fantastic. You guys are great. Thanks for helping out and supporting my live stream. Tim put beanie info in the video description. It's Empire. Go to a skate shop and buy an Empire beanie. Other than that, I've got DC and Vans beanies because I skate. And I'll probably go skate tomorrow. I should make a skate video. You guys would be really great. True News Shred says, hope the Poland trip happens. Great work as always. Yeah, I think maybe mid-October. I've got a speaking event in New York at a thing called PR Week. So they're talking events and promotion and social media, and they're going to have me speak about, I think it has to do with, I've launched my own brand. So I do journalism, but I've been able to be very successful independently, so I'll be speaking there. And then that's in mid-October. I've got some family stuff I've got to deal with in between, so I don't have as much time for travel. But I think a series in Poland would be really, really cool. We'll see what happens. If breaking news happens, if we go to war with North Korea, obviously I'll divert. But until then, I guess we'll figure it out. So, what's this? Hey, Tim Pool, have you considered changing up the times you run live streams at night? Might draw in more viewers. Should I do it later? Yes. Here's what I'll try. Next week, Sunday, I'll try 10 p.m. Is that too late? People might be asleep for work. I don't know. I don't know what time is good. So, yeah. Someone says you're a capitalist. Sure, I guess. I don't know if Sure. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Again, timcast.com/donate, patreon.com/timcast. You can follow me on Twitter @timcast, Instagram as well. Minds, yes, minds.com/timcast. Dude, Minds rocks. One of my favorite social media platforms. Seriously, if you're not using it, do it. I'm going to put that link in the description because I like it so much. Minds is truly a fantastic site. 10 p.m. is YouTube Saints. So I don't know, earlier or later, sure, maybe I'll try 7 p.m. We'll see what happens. I will let you know next Sunday before I go live, And if you haven't already, click the little bell icon on my channel so that it notifies you when I do live streams. I'll see y'all then.